All right, it's time for Mike Florio. Listen to this one. Kev's gonna put it in there in the chat. This is Florio. I'll do it. I'll add it up. Here we go. Here's
One
Florio.
thing that I don't think happens enough is the John Gruden model, where you call up a team and you say, "Are you interested in releasing your coach, and what would the compensation be?" And I've mentioned both Kyle Shanahan and John Harbaugh today as guys that maybe the Bears should call about. And yes, it's going to cost you something by way of draft pick compensation. But like if you would get Shanahan, and I feel like Shanahan and the 49ers are getting close to the point where they would benefit mutually from a fresh start. If you can get Shanahan and join him at the hip with Caleb Williams, are you kidding me?
What gives you the impression that the Niners and Kyle Shanahan would have a mutual separation like that?
Well, there's nothing specific, but you just look at the situation. It's been since 2017. They've kind of been annually banging their head against the door, trying to break it down. This year just feels kind of weird. It feels like it's coming to an end from the standpoint of the nucleus of players that they've had there. And you never know what's really going on behind the scenes. And I mentioned the 49ers in part because it was 10 years ago or so when they had Jim Harbaugh going into what was the fourth year of his tenure there. The first 3 years had all been very successful. NFC Championship, Super Bowl, and NFC Championship. And we reported at the time, and it was accurate, and it was confirmed by the Browns in a roundabout way, that the 49ers were close to trading Jim Harbaugh to the Cleveland Browns. So you never know at the top of the organization whether or not there's a sense that maybe it's time for a change. But after the 49ers lost to the Chiefs, one of the first things I thought is, at some point I feel like Kyle Shanahan needs an Andy Reid reset, where I've exhausted every opportunity with the team that I started my coaching career with. It's time to go to a new place. And I know Reid got fired. He landed on his feet in Kansas City, and the rest is history. But I feel like at some point Shanahan needs that.
Interesting.
One thing that I don't think happens enough is the John.
Let's see if we can put that back in. There we go. So that was from the Rich Eisen show. And you can kind of tell that Eisen knows that Florio's a joke. You know what I mean? You can kind of tell, well, Mike, I know you've got your outlandish theories, but what indications are there that the 49ers would actually do such a thing? It's like there are no indications, but he does bring up an interesting idea. Okay, so let's talk about it for a second. I think there is zero chance that Jed York will fire Kyle Shanahan.
No, yeah.
Zero. But I do think there's a chance that Jed could come to Kyle and say, "Hey, Kyle, dump Sorensen. Hey, Kyle, you can come back, but not with Schneider or Sorensen." Or, "Hey, Kyle, you can come back, but how about we have a little different structure and we bring in another personnel voice and, maybe take away some of your personnel control." Yeah. Anything at all that he views as a slap in the face, he may say, "I'm taking my ball and I'm leaving." And things could blow up. I don't think there's any way that Kyle Shanahan would quit. I don't think there's any way Jed would fire him. But I do think Jed could ask for conditions and Kyle could tell him to go fly a kite, and then they're mutually parting ways. And I could see, if that were the case, where the 49ers could maybe attempt to try to do what very few teams have done, and that's trade the head coach.
Yeah.
What do you think? And is there a price tag that, even if the people who want to fire Shanahan are like, "I'll take anything. Give me a give me a bag of kibble. I'll take it." But the people who respect Shanahan and believe that he's a damn good coach, and that's me, I'm in that group. I don't want to trade Shanahan or move off of Shanahan, but everybody's got a price.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have a price too. I probably want 3 picks. I probably want a 1 and 2 twos.
2 firsts.
Maybe 2 1s and a 4. I want 3 picks. I want 3 picks. And at least one of them has to be a first-round pick in the first half of the first round. That's what I want. I want 3 picks. You can give me a 1, a 2, 1 and a couple 2s. You can give me 2 1s and a 2. But I definitely want a 1 in the top half of the first round if I'm going to trade Kyle Shanahan. How do you feel about that whole conversation? And how do you see this going? Do you know, you got a good feel for this? Do you think he comes back with no conditions and he's just, you know what, just try to do better next year? Or do you think he comes back with some conditions that maybe we don't know about? Or do you think he comes back with very public new conditions? And do you think that in any way that makes him say, you know what, screw you, Jed, I'm out of here?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Honestly, I thought that was a pretty interesting topic because it's getting to be a point where everybody in the media is talking about Kyle. Is he tired with the Niners? And you know what? Like maybe he needs a fresh start. I don't think it's a bad take. I know Florio is like anti-Niners. Like he always tries to stir the pot. He always tries to like bellow up something and get some negative stuff out there. And that's why Rich Eisen was like, "Is this really true? Do you think you have anything?" He's like, "I'm just saying." So yeah, Florio has his theories, but it's not a bad one because if the 49ers, like you said, if Jed goes up to him and says, hey, man, we need to get rid of this guy, or heaven forbid, get you some help, get an offensive coordinator, I can see Kyle say, you know what, let's trade me. If they do, if that ever is an issue, which I don't think they will because he just got his extension last year, I think Jed's happy with them. I think they're all happy front office. I think for sure he's going to say, let's get rid of DC. Let's figure that issue out. Maybe strip some of his powers because I know Cowherd was throwing that out today, saying that he might come back and not have as much power. That could rub him the wrong way. So, yeah, if they're going to trade him, I say at least 2 first-round picks. That should be great, and then maybe a later-round pick. But that's tough. That's, you know, a situation happened very unfrequently. It happened with Sean Payton. Saints have not been good after they got rid of him. But for Denver, it worked out. So, you know, if the Niners were to trade him and get some draft picks, they need to make sure – they get a good coach. Regardless if you fire him, if he gets traded, or whatever the case is, the Niners need to make sure that they have a good candidate. So I think Jed would have to kind of see the landscape and say, okay, these are candidates. I'd feel comfortable doing it. So I don't even think that's a case because, again, Niners know if you get rid of Kyle, you have to really, really hit on your next coach. So there's so much.
Who would your vote be for?
It's tough, man, because I know
it is tough because I'm asking you about guys, you know, we don't even know all the candidates.
Available. Yeah, we don't know who's available. I'll say this because a lot of people say, oh, if you get rid of Kyle, you're going back to the Chip Kelly, Jim Thompson days. That's stupid.
You could be.
That's the dumbest thing because, Larry, the 49ers are a top team. They're a Super Bowl contender. No matter who comes in to take this team, you still have great talent on both sides of the ball. You got Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. Coaches would want to coach this team up. Maybe they'd get rid of Purdy because quarterbacks are tied to the coaches. They'd bring in their guy. But there's a lot of talent on this team still. A top coach would come here. So I don't know who's going to be available. I know everybody's going to say Ben Johnson. I'd like to get someone that's proven they can coach, you know, and you know, like a Belichick or something. But I don't know if he's going to come to the Niners. That'd be crazy. But I don't know.
A lot of people are saying Dan Lanning. That's the Oregon coach, right?
Yeah, I don't
know about that.
I don't like the jump from college to the pros. It typically doesn't work. If I'm being honest, go get me Belichick, man. That's the one guy I think could come in and win a championship with the Niners. Man, I just
like Belichick. I mean, yeah,
I don't know who's going to be available. If you give me a list of players or coaches that are available, then I say, oh yeah, those guys. But I will say this: if the Niners do move away from Kyle, which I don't think they will, coaches they'll be knocking on the doors. Some good coaches, not bad coaches.
You think?
Coaches. Yes, come on, man.
Even with their situation where, you know, you have Brock, maybe Brock doesn't finish all that fast.
You can go get any quarterback you want.
Yeah, but you're hugged up against the cap with a bunch of players that can't play anymore.
The cap. You know.
It's the only thing it's going to take a couple of years to cleanse the Niner cap away. No, you're not worried.
I think they can figure it out. If they don't have to pay a quarterback, if they have to pay Brock $60 million, then they're screwed. But the Niners always figure out a way out of the cap. You know, cap hell. I know they're paying a lot of guys, but they can restructure. They could. There's ways to figure out their way through it. Because there always is. They always figure that out. But I think
my choice would, and I think I might have said this to you already, but so forgive me if I'm repeating. But I would go with Spags just because I think you got to deconstruct Kansas City.
I would love Spags, but I think and this is my theory on Spags because the Niners tried to get him this offseason, right? Last offseason. they wanted him to be the DC. You think he wants to go to the Niners when he has the biggest opportunity ahead of him to become a 3-time Super Bowl champ with the Chiefs? Like, he's got it made in Kansas City. Like, he
Says he wants to be a head coach.
Eventually.
Says he wants to be a head coach.
You
How
think
about
he
John
wants
Harbaugh? Could you get John Harbaugh to leave Baltimore?
Okay, now that would be one I would take. Go get me John Harbaugh. I would love it.
Get the
Can you
sane
get me-
Harbaugh brother.
Woo! Go get me John Harbaugh. That'd be good.
Who's got it better than
I would take
us?
that in a
Part
heartbeat.
two.
Okay. You get me John Harbaugh. Oh, we are definitely. Are you kidding me? Why would he leave?
A lot of people say
Baltimore?
with love spags. Love
Why would,
spags.
why would he leave the Baltimore?
No, he's not. He's not. I'm just spitballing. I'm just spitballing names. Robert Saleh makes sense because then you can keep Chris Kasarik if you want to keep Chris Kasarik. I personally would like to keep Chris Kasarik. So, that's another one. I mean, everybody's got a different thought on that.